Cero, was that the best performance we've ever seen from the U.S. men's national team? Also, Gregg Berhalter coming back as manager after it looked like that was not even a possibility a couple weeks ago. Oh, yeah. And by the way, we have a cup final against Canada later on tonight. We're going to talk all about it here on Stars and Strikes.
And it's a goal for the United States. Le va a pegar al arco, busca el pelotazo,
Simplistic, you're listening to Stars and Stripes.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Stars and Strikes. It is just me again today. I mean, what a performance from the U.S. against Mexico. Obviously, in the intro, we talked about the different major topics, arguably one of the biggest days in recent U.S. soccer history. But we'll start with the game, then go on to the Berhalter stuff, and then focus on Canada. For those of you who missed it, post-game, Ryan and I did a Instagram Live recap of the entire game. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter recap from me, just hitting the most important things. We broke it all down, did player ratings, all the good stuff over on our Instagram. You guys can go check that out at Stars and Strikes. I'll put a link in the description. Sorry, I can't talk today, guys. Happy Father's Day to all the dads watching out there, especially my dad. Love you. But yeah, let's get right into cero. I mean, as I said in the intro, I think this is the best performance, at least in my memory, let alone against Mexico, but against anyone. I mean, it was dominant from the very first minute. We just bossed them all over the field. And post-game, Ryan kept saying the words, there's levels to this rivalry. In the pregame, we said there's a clear gap in quality. And sometimes in a rivalry game, that gap in quality goes out the window. It didn't last night. I mean, or 2 nights ago. But it was clear. The players for the U.S. were just miles better than the players for Mexico. They won every 50-50 ball. Mexico couldn't string together a couple passes. They couldn't handle when we pressed high up the field. They had no answer for Christian Pulisic. Giovanni Reyna was doing whatever he wanted in the middle of the field. Fuller and Balogun was getting caught, was getting fouled left and right, kicked because they knew they couldn't stop him. Serginho Dest was absolutely bossing. They really only had one clear opportunity, and Matt Turner came up with a big save, and then Antuna absolutely fluffed his lines afterwards. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, it was a absolutely boss performance from the very first minute. I mean, I'm looking over a couple of my notes here, and it's just love what's going on. The interchanging between Reyna and Pulisic is so good. They can't handle it. And the one word that I kept thinking of was freedom. This was the most free I've ever seen this U.S. team play with. The system that BJ Callahan put out there and the team that he put out allowed us to get the best out of our best players. Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna, arguably our two most talented attacking options, not including Balogun, of course. This highlighted what they both do well. Pulisic able to operate on that left side, cut inside, and then Giovanni Reyna able to float in different pockets of space and really just pick apart your back line. And hats off to BJ Callahan for going with the lineup that we all wanted. I mean, how rare is it that a coach of any sport, or in football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, puts out the lineup that all fans want, the one that we can all get behind? He went for it. This was attacking. They were going to go after Mexico, and I hope we do the same tonight against Canada. That's not something we saw from Gregg Berhalter, and it's something I hope Berhalter can learn. I'll mention that a little later on, but yeah, we'll just say, I mean, man of the match, Christian Pulisic. I mean, we've said it time and time again here on this podcast that he is made for the big stage. When the lights are shining brightest, that's when he is at his best. He always steps up for the U.S. men's national team. 2 goals, especially after missing a clear opportunity where he completely just dusted his defender with a great turn and then cut inside, rounded Ochoa, and put it just over the crossbar. It was like, oh, is it just going to be one of those nights? And he completely made up for it by scoring the first goal, where it was all effort. He just wanted it more. He was turned on to the loose ball, made a fantastic finish across the goal with his left foot. And then right after halftime, you'd think, oh, Mexico's maybe going to come out firing. Halftime talk, make some adjustments, try and start the second half off firing. And within a minute, nice little combination play. Next thing you know, Weah's crossing it into the box and Pulisic's putting it in the back of the net. And and that ended it, basically. Mexico had no answers. Fuller and Balogun made his debut. Didn't get on the ball a ton, but I thought he was pretty good. And what he did more than anything was he gave the Mexican defenders something to think about, and that allowed Pulisic, Reyna, Weah to have more space. And that, I thought Balogun's hold-up play was very good. He just kept getting fouled, and if you're going to do that, fine. We'll pick you apart in set pieces. You're going to rack up yellow cards. And I think a goal is coming for him as he learns to play more and more, and he gets more and more comfortable and the chemistry starts to build. I think we're going to really see the best out of him. And we're going to start to see the goals flying in from our new number 9. And the guy who was actually wearing the number 9, Ricardo Pepi, in the preview show, first guessed it, to use a term from Skip Bayless. We saw a hungry Ricardo Pepi coming off the bench. Comes off Serginho Dest with a spectacular run. Nice little move. Plays him in behind. Pepi, cool, calm, collected, gets his goal to ice the game. And that's exactly what we need. Iron sharpens iron. And the arrival of Balogun has forced Pepi to elevate his game. And since the World Cup, that is exactly what he's done. He had a great season over in the Netherlands. Probably going to get a big move coming up here soon. It looks like it might be PSV, same league. So I think that'd be really good for him to keep that positive momentum going, because the more competition you have, it's going to bring out the better in other players. And if Pepi keeps on scoring, Balogun's spot is not going to be nailed on. Balogun's going to have to raise his game because there's this kid from Texas coming, knocking on the door. And to have such a weapon off the bench is key. And I think I want to see that that coming up here again. And then we have to obviously talk about the, for lack of a better term, the shit show that ensued in the final 20, 30 minutes of this game. I mean, Mexico was absolutely disgraceful on the night, both from the players on the pitch to the fans in the stands. It was disgraceful. And the only thing that Mexico had in that game was to try and turn it into a slugfest. I mean, it got ugly. Starting with when Balogun got chopped down for the straight red card, McKennie rushes in, and then a full-on benches clearing brawl ensues with McKennie ending up with his jersey ripped to shreds. And then there's that iconic moment, and it's going to be iconic. It's going to be an image that lives on forever of him kissing the badge, showing up the Mexican fans. Unfortunately, he got a red card and is going to miss the game against Canada tonight, which, I mean, I think that was really harsh for him to get a red card, especially since he was getting choked out and shoved, and he was just doing the exact same things that all the Mexican players were doing to him. Pretty much got rushed. But you want to say hopefully keep your head, but that is a player going and protecting his teammate. Balogun, I mean, that was a cheap shot of the cheapest of cheap shots. I mean, straight right. You just like, that is dirty, dirty, dirty. What the play for Mexico. And I actually kind of liked what McKennie did. And I mean, it got leaked on Twitter that McKennie got offered $10,000 for that jersey. He said, "Nah, I'm keeping it." And I think that really just shows the type of player that McKennie is. I think that obviously the loan spell at Leeds United didn't go well, and they ended up getting relegated. He was getting booed. People are calling him fat, but I think McKennie on the night was also really, really good. I mean, he was absolutely bossing it out there, getting up and down the field. I thought he was good when he had the ball. His ability to break the lines, start up counterattacks. He's very involved in the build-up to one of the goals. Yunus Musa just as good from the other side. So he's going to be a big miss for sure. I think he's going to be the biggest miss that we have. And then obviously it just kind of keeps going and spiraling. And then Serginho Dest gets shoved, and then he pushes him back, and then they both get straight reds. That one was a little bit of heads gone, but even there, it was just shoving back and forth. I didn't think anything more than yellow, or I thought a yellow card would have been fine, but the reality was that the ref completely lost the game. I think that was 100% on the head official. Obviously, the chants start going on. They have to stop the game, and unfortunately, have to end the game early. So, disgraceful from Mexico. I think the ref should not have let it even get to that point, but it did. We move on. We go into the final. Like I said, if you guys want to hear more about our, a full discussion back and forth between me and Ryan about the stuff, make sure to check it out on our Instagram at Stars and Stripes. All right, moving on to the big news that dropped right at kickoff. A little bit before the match, it had come out that Jesse Marsh's agent said that Jesse Marsh will not be the next manager of the U.S. men's national team. And then Jeff Carlisle reports start to leak. And over the course of the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, looks like Gregg Berhalter is coming back to be the manager, to be the manager of the U.S. men's national team. And I think the overall consensus is, as that was happening, was, really? It's just kind of a disappointment and a letdown. It felt like we should have been going for a big swing, given where the team is at, given that 2026 is right around the corner on home soil. This is the golden generation, if you will, to go big, go get a big name European manager that can truly elevate this program to where we all believe it can go to. And that's not to say that Gregg can't do that. It's just, we know what he is. I think, if Gregg Berhalter is truly the best man for the job and that's what they believe, fine. But the biggest issue that I have is this process. I mean, they hire an outside firm, the financial resources. I think they spent $2 million on it to go do all this stuff, to do a really thorough process. In the press conferences, Matt Crocker kept emphasizing, this was a thorough process. We looked at the data. We did psychological examinations, just to end up in the same place that we were 6 months ago. And obviously there was the whole controversy with the Reynas that came out, and then the domestic violence stuff that you can't overlook. But it just, really, that, like, if it's finances that, like, we can't go out and pay the big coach, like Crocker said, just say it. Just be straight up about it. If he was truly the only option, say that. The transparency just was weird. But not as weird as the biggest thing. The biggest weird thing is he's not going to coach the Gold Cup. Isn't the point of a manager or a head coach for a national team to coach the team in summer tournaments? I mean, I could be missing something here, but why is Gregg Berhalter not coaching in the Gold Cup? I get him not coaching here tonight. I mean, that'd be a pretty quick turnaround. BJ Callahan had the boys going really good, but the Gold Cup's not for another month. Sure, he wasn't the one that made the squad, but I mean, if this was in the works all along, you think that a BJ Callahan, who was on Gregg Berhalter's staff, wasn't in some sort of contact, or didn't have an idea, or doesn't feel a lot of the same ways as Gregg Berhalter does? Should Gregg Berhalter not want to get to know some of these domestic-based players? Should he not want to try and start implementing the different systems and tactics and things that he wants to implement with these national team players? I mean, I maybe I'm crazy, and maybe everyone who else is in the soccer world is crazy, but the big ticket items that Berhalter, or that Matt Crocker said that he and Berhalter needed to work out before he takes over, it just it literally makes no sense. I'm trying not to rant and yell at U.S. Soccer, but what? Like literally, what is? I mean, it's just mind numbing, like, how stupid this is. He said he has to repair relationships. Yeah, I mean, and then in the press conference he said, I haven't talked to Gio Reyna, haven't talked to Ricardo Pepi, Zach Steffen. Yeah, you're gonna have to repair those things, and they're professionals, and I hope that they'll be able to get beyond it, because especially when it comes to Giovanni Reyna, they're going to have to. And I think that they will. Like I said, they're professionals, and hopefully they get over it for the good of the program. But I mean, it's just the process, and this is why people around the world sometimes laugh at the federation. It's just, and going back to why he's not coaching the Gold Cup. I mean, why announce it now? I know it kind of got leaked because of the agents and stuff, but it's not official unless U.S. Soccer and Gregg Berhalter confirm it. And I know the Club America rumors were going out there, and he told Club America that, I have to take this last interview with the U.S. And by the time he got back to the airport after the interview, he was offered the job by Crocker. And I understand that is something that plays into it, that you don't want to lose a guy, but I hope it wasn't a panic. Following this episode and following the Nations League, Ryan and I'll sit down. We'll have a more in-depth and back-and-forth conversation and try and really dissect what the other options were. I mean, Patrick Vieira had kind of gotten mentioned a couple of days before, like he was interested in the job. But if it truly was only Gregg Berhalter, announce it sooner, let him coach the Gold Cup, or just wait. I mean, it's just, I am just, it's dumbfounding. I don't even know what to say anymore. So, yeah. I hope he learned something from the way that he's seen in this interim, process between BJ Callahan and Anthony Hudson, because I think that they truly unlocked Giovanni Reyna, and found a good role for him, and a role that allows him and Pulisic to both flourish. I hope that this attacking freedom that they're playing with continues forward. And obviously you can't do that against every game, or against every opponent. To think that we'd be able to do that against the likes of an Argentina or a Germany or a Spain, that's not realistic. But yeah, Gregg Berhalter, he's back, and we got to get behind him. And this isn't saying he's a bad coach. Gregg Berhalter is a good coach. I mean, we saw what he could do tactically against England. We also saw his shortcomings against the Netherlands when he got completely bossed by Louis van Gaal. So there's room for him to grow, and there's room for this team to grow. And a good amount of the players voiced their opinions. Christian Pulisic, Timothy Weah, they said they wanted Gregg Berhalter back as a coach. And part of that is because maybe they see what he's done. They saw the progress that the team made under Gregg Berhalter, but at the same time, it's also a slippery slope, because if the coach is picking you consistently and he's believing in you and you're his guy, of course you're going to say that. I mean, what do you think Joe Scally would say that? Do you think Ricardo Pepi would say that? Zach Steffen? Probably not. It'd probably be a little different. Maybe Malik Tillman would disagree because they didn't get selected for the World Cup, or maybe they didn't play the way that I thought best extenuates my talent. But at the end of the day, you got to get behind him, support him, and hopefully he'll be ready to go, because he's going to have a lot of time before Copa America to do the big ticket items, whatever those are. So repair those relationships, get these things planned out, schedule some friendlies so this team is ready and has been playing together and is seasoned for Copa America, because that's going to be a real challenge and a real test. And if it doesn't go well, and it's showing that maybe this is not the answer, next summer in Copa America, we get bounced in the group stage, or God forbid something, happens where it's just a disaster. Hopefully U.S. Soccer, Matt Crocker, have the balls to cut his contract short and go find someone else. But yeah, anyway, Gregg Berhalter back as the U.S. men's national team head coach. Moving on, let's go talk about the match later on tonight, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time in Las Vegas from Allegiant Stadium, the United States versus Canada for the Nations League final or championship, whatever you want to call it. The U.S. trying to go back-to-back and really completely just establish and concrete and solidify is probably the best word, as the true giants of CONCACAF. I mean, we know a lot of the players like over on the Canada side, Kyle Larin, they're saying, oh, we won World Cup qualifying. We're the best team in CONCACAF, which they did. They were really dominant throughout World Cup qualifying. However, when you look at the U.S., his track record, yes, Canada did get points, both home and away off the U.S. That is true in qualifying. Gold Cup, last Nations League, 6 unbeaten against Mexico. Winning tonight, I don't think for Canada makes them head and shoulders above the U.S. But I think if the U.S. winning shows there's still a separation between the U.S. and Canada. I think based on the Mexico team that we've seen under Diego Coca, the U.S. and Canada are miles above whatever the shambles is the Mexican Football Federation right now. And Canada's got some really talented players going forward. I mean, they have players that can really cause you an issue. I think that's something that can't be overlooked. But so do we. This is another game where I want us to go push it, go and win that game. You have the quality going forward. Go hit him in the mouth. This is a confident bunch playing right now. Go get it. Attack. Press them high up the field. I know there's the threat of an Alphonso Davies, a Tejan Buchanan. Obviously, Jonathan David, we know, is banging in the goals over in France for Lille. But, if we come out with the same intensity that we came out against Mexico with, this Canada team, sure, they might get 1 or maybe even 2, but they're not going to win this game. They don't have it in defense to be able to contain our attacking talent. But, like I said before, you got to be able to withstand and bend but don't break when they have their moments, because we know Alphonso Davies is going to be bombing down the left side. He'll probably be good enough to start. He'll probably be fit enough. Tejan Buchanan is a type of player that if he gets hot, he can really get going. He gets some confidence. He can really cause you some issues. Obviously, I mentioned Jonathan David. Ball drops to him in the box. He's going to finish it. They got Jonathan Osorio, a guy that a lot of MLS fans are accustomed to. Hutchinson's playing his final game. I feel like he's been playing forever, probably longer than I've been alive for the Canadian national team. So it's not going to be an easy game. This is going to be I don't think it's going to be a slugfest in the same way. It's definitely not going to get dirty or as chippy as the Mexico game. I mean, I don't know if any games ever get that chippy. That's one of the chippiest games you've seen in a while. But no, I think you have to be confident going in. And I think you have to. I mean, if there weren't red cards, I would literally just drop the exact same starting 11 back into this game. Just be like, go get it again. Let's do it again. And I think you try and replicate that as much as possible. Obviously, no McKennie, no Dest. Who comes in? In regards to Serginho Dest, a guy that I thought played spectacularly prior to his red card. Going forward, I thought he was pretty good defensively. Mexico didn't have anything going down that left side or right side for Dest, if you want to call it that. And he was, obviously set up Pepe for the goal, the filth, the skill moves. You could tell he was a confident player, creating chances in the final third. But we're going to be without him. I think it's a simple switch. I think you just drop Joe Scallion. He hasn't been playing great. I guess that's similar to a lot of American players at the end of last season. But obviously got experience playing in the Bundesliga for Mönchengladbach. And I think he's actually he's not the same quality of player going forward that Dest is. He doesn't have that technical ability, but he's probably a better defender. Obviously, he can play either side. And that could be come in handy when you got Alphonso Davies running at you. He's not going to need to have to push up so far. And that might be a good thing because there won't be so much space for Davies to attack and to run into in that little channel on their left flank or right side. So yeah, I think Joe Scally comes in and I think it's a straight swap. I don't think there'd be too much of a drop off. The more difficult one is who comes in for Weston McKennie. We saw Luca De La Torre come in for him in the latter stages of the Mexico game. He's much more of a a tactical or a more technical type player. He's not quite as athletic. I think we'd definitely be losing a little bit of athleticism, whoever we put in that role, from Weston McKennie. De La Torre is more, obviously he plays for Celta Vigo in Spain. He's the type of player that likes to collect the ball and facilitate it by passing more laterally before going forward. Whereas McKennie, we know he's going to want to get the ball, drive it forward, get the ball up the field, push it, use his feet, his body to get up into the box and try and do stuff. That's just De La Torre is just a different type of player. Also on the team, you got the likes of Alan Sonora is another option, Johnny Cardoso. So I think those are probably the two other guys. It's going to be one of those three in that role. I think you just go with De La Torre. You know, as I said, we're losing a little bit of something, but there's a reason Weston McKennie starts anyway. No matter who you put in, without Tyler Adams, you're losing something in that role. It's a shame. I think Kellen Acosta probably would have been best suited, but obviously he's not here in this squad. So I think you go with De La Torre, and you know, maybe it's a little bit more of a conservative start to the game, but at the same time, you also gain some things with De La Torre because he's really good in possession, and maybe he can pick a pass or unlock a defense in a different way and give Canada something else to think about. This is a game where I think we're going to have a lion's share of the ball, and you have to be able to make it count. So yeah, just going through the lineup I want to see. Pretty much, like I said, everyone but Destin McKennie, because they are suspended. In goal, Matt Turner. He was good against Mexico when he needed to come up with a big save. He did. Joe Scally right back. Anthony Robinson over at left back. I thought he had a superb game. Not as impactful going forward as Dest was, but still very good. Completely shut down his side of the field defensively. Miles Robinson thought was really good defense. And then I'm going in with him next to Chris Richards, who I thought he was really good. That was one of the better center back performances that we've seen in a U.S. shirt in a long time. His ball distribution was excellent. I truly think he showed exactly why he is the talent and the player that we've all thought he is. He just hasn't had the opportunity to show it with Crystal Palace. I think he's doing a good job for him to try and get a move. Then in the double pivot, Musa De La Torre, and then the same thing going forward. Rain in the 10. Pulisic out wide left, Captain America himself. Timo Weah on the right, and then I think the biggest debate, which probably isn't really a debate, is who starts up top. For me, I'm going with Balogun again. There's a reason he scored 20 goals in the French league in League One this season. He's going up against another guy, a very similar player, similar age, similar skill set in Jonathan David. I think it's going to be a fun battle to watch between them. But yeah, anyway, I can't wait. Final score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1. They get it done in extra or in normal time. Both teams score, I believe. Let's say Christian Pulisic gets on the score sheet once again, and Fuller and Balogun gets his first goal for the USMNT. That's going to do it all for me. Make sure to follow us on social media, get involved. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Gregg Berhalter, on the Mexico game, how you think tonight's matchup is going to go. Who would you start? Does Pepe really deserve a start? All that good stuff. Get involved, join the community, and go USA. I'll see you guys next time.